Hello, I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service through New Mexico State University, your Family and Consumer Science agent. This month we're kicking off a brand new series on some of our fall favorites. We're going to talk about apples and chilies and pumpkins and pecans and all these fantastic things that not only grow around New Mexico but are harvested specifically within the fall frame. Apples we get year-round. We love apples, we use them for lots of different projects, lots of different recipes, but it's still that fall feel. We're going in right now into classrooms around the county and teaching kiddos all about apples and the nutrition and the fun facts that go along with how and where they're grown and all of the different types there are. So what is it when we talk about apples and being nutritious? Well, first of all, they're an excellent source of vitamin C, which we all know improves our immune system, helps keep us from getting sick. That apple a day that keeps the doctor away, that's why. Over and above that, your apple is also an excellent source of vitamin B6, another vitamin that helps boost your immune system and also helps your brain health. Makes you think a little clearer, which I think we can all use these days. So what all can you do with an apple? Well, different apples have a different purpose. They all have that nutritional value. They're all growing seasonally around the world, but an apple has a different job. So let's talk about, for instance, this first one is a Red Delicious. We see these, this is what we think of, that apple for the teacher, these beautiful red apples that you're gonna see in the store. They're gonna be sweet, they may have just a hint of tartness to it, but for the most part, they're just that sweet, crisp kind of apple. So these are the best for just fresh eating, when you just wanna eat an apple. These are also excellent chopped up and thrown in with a salad. So it's a great way to add a little crunch. There's also Golden Delicious apples, very similar to this, but they're yellow in color instead of the red. Same thing, they're crisp, they're sweet, they're great for fresh eating. They're also good for desserts. So those yellow ones are gonna be something good to do your processing. If you wanna freeze your apples to save for later, they're a great one for that. Just has a little to do with the texture, and they're a little firmer sometimes than your reds. Now our Granny Smith, these beautiful, beautiful green apples that you can pick up. We know this is the tart one. Some of us out there love these. We would rather have this any day than a super sweet apple. Now your Granny Smiths, again, they're gonna be that, they're really firm and they're tart. They have that extra tartness to them and a little less of that sweetness. So these are wonderful for baking. If you like to make sauces and chutneys and things along those lines, that's an excellent thing for this. These are also the best ones for juice. If you're gonna make your own apple juice, go on out there and grab you some Granny Smiths. That's gonna be the ones to use for that. And then what I have here today, again, these are the most common ones that we see in the stores around here. This is just a Gala, crisp and sweet, has that gorgeous, this really makes me think of fall when you look at these blends of your reds and your yellows coming across there. And again, they're great for fresh eating. Slice them up, put them in. And a lot of what you can do with your apples is trial and error. If you don't really like the Granny Smith in your pie, you're gonna buy a different kind of apple and try it for that. Or if you're gonna dry your apples, that we're gonna talk about here in just a second, you might try a few different varieties to see what you prefer in having the best possible product for you. They will work with anything. Some of them are just gonna have a better flavor. Okay, so when you go to select your apple at the store, we all know, okay, we don't want it to be bruised, we don't want it to have any holes. One of the things that can help you, of course, push on it, you wanna make sure that it's good and firm, but you wanna find one with a stem. If you've ever noticed when you do slice up your apple and you pull that stem out, there's a hole there. So once the stem is removed, there's a hole there where things can get into the apple. So we teach our kiddos when we're doing produce judging, one of the things they want to look for is that the stem is still attached so that there's not an opening into the inside of your fruit. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about how you dry apples. Now there's some great uses for dried apples along with what you can eat. They're great for going in the lunchbox. Apple chips are a wonderful thing. You can purchase them at the store. Of course, they've been processed. There's some added things there that you don't have to add if you do them yourself at home. And so then you can also use them for a variety of different types of crafts. If you wanted with your apples. So what we're gonna do, you're gonna pick your nice, kind of firm, easy to use apple. This bowl is just water with a little bit of lemon juice in it. We're gonna do that so that as our apples dry, they don't oxygenate quite as much or quite as quickly, so they don't turn as brown. You do not have to do this step. Your apples will still be perfectly acceptable to eat, they just won't have as good a color. Okay, so after you rinse your apple, you wash it down, you're just gonna lay it on its side, and we're gonna make slices. If your preference is to use a slicer and have bigger chunks, that's perfectly fine. Just remember they may take a little longer to dry if they're wider, thicker, fatter. We're gonna try to cut, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, mine never come out even. And again, depending on your purpose for what you wanna do with your apple, if you wanna peel it, if you wanna core it before you dry it, if you wanna cut them into smaller pieces before you dry it so it will go more quickly, all of those things are perfectly acceptable. Okay, I just want these nice big apple rings. You can see the star in the middle. You can seed them ahead of time or after they dry. You can pop the seeds right out. Okay, and as I mentioned, then we're just gonna soak them in our lemon water to keep that from browning on us before we can get done what we wanna do with them. Now again, I didn't have to soak them all that long. I basically soaked while I was slicing the rest of them, and that's plenty of time. So then how do you dry them? Well, there's a variety of methods you can use depending on what you have, how you want to dry your apples. One, of course, is a commercial dehydrator. I use this one set to 135. That was the recommendation from the manufacturer. And you just put your apple rounds, your slices, your chips, however you wanted to do them, on the trays, put them in there. Now, at that temperature, it took about 10 hours to dry these apples. I had them on every tray, so I had quite a few. This held right at 6 apples about this size. They were the large ones, and you can see these are the Granny Smiths with the green. This is that nice Gala. Those are gonna be yummy to eat. And then quite a few of the Red Delicious. I did more Red Delicious because that's part of what we're going to use for our project. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can also always do this in your oven, about 150 degrees. It's a good thing that you can do, keep checking on them, leave them overnight or all day long if you're home and have a way to do that, because it's probably going to take quite a while for them to dry, about 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours. Depending on the weather as well and how dry the air is. Typically in New Mexico, we're dry enough that it goes pretty quickly, but right now we've been a little more humid, monsoon season's coming through, so it may take them a little longer to dry as well. So you're gonna wanna watch that and check on it within the time. So now we've got dried apples. What's something else that we can do with them? Oh, I forgot to mention, you can also, if you have an air fryer, it's another way that you can dry them. Just be careful when you work with your air fryer. One of the things that it said was, go about 390 for about 8 minutes. Will dry out your apples perfectly. Make sure you're on dehydrate, not on fry, if you're gonna do that. And again, you wanna watch them and check them because it can go very quickly to where you're not really having a dried apple, you have a fried apple, which serves a very different purpose depending on what you're wanting to do. So one of the things you can do with your dried apples is an apple wreath. That's actually one of the things that went out in our newsletter for this month. If you're not currently receiving our newsletter, you can go online and sign up for that or give us a call at the extension office and we'd be glad to get you a copy. You can get an email or hard copy right into your mailbox, and it will have the information and recipes for everything that we do within our videos. So this, I just went ahead and used a coat hanger. This is a regular old clothes hanger. I undid it. Probably when I get finished with this, I'm going to cut it off a little shorter, okay, to make a smaller wreath instead of a great big one, because it takes a lot of apples to do this. But I did leave it this way because I wanted you guys to see when you dry them, of course, you get all that beautiful texture and the beautiful curls and the things that it does. So when you fill this out all the way around with your apples, okay, you can see how pretty and folly that's gonna feel. Now something you can do if you don't want to use quite that many apples when you get ready to put it together is, of course, you can use filler. Something that would be great with this: cinnamon sticks, wooden beads, things that you can put in between. I have just some raffia here because, again, it feels like fall. It's got that nice straw look to it. And so one of the things you can do, aside from just topping it off with that, is you can take your raffia and tie it between your slices. Maybe you want 3 or 4 in a row. And then we're going to add some raffia in between. Get that through there without smashing all my apples. So we tie our raffia on to make it however long or size, because then of course we can trim that off. And just keep working our way around. So now we have our apples with our little fall raffia. We can put a pretty bow at the top with more raffia or ribbon, however you want to decorate it out. I even saw one made with apples and then dried chilies, which we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks as well. So think about what you can do with an apple, how versatile they are, what a wonderful fall treat apples can be. And I hope you go out and you find a great way to preserve your apples and the thing you want to do. Come on our Facebook page and share with us your favorite apple recipe, how you like to preserve them, save them, and use them. Again, you can go on our website, curryextension.nmsu.edu. Give us a call at the Extension office, 575-763-6505. We're there to answer your questions, to help you out with whatever it is that you would like to learn more about for your family's health and wellness. So come see us. Again, I'm Mindy Turner. Thank you for joining us.